Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my rankings for Death Game Media. This is a bit different for a countdown list for me because it's not like a top 10. It's not a top 10 or a top 20 or whatever. This one is simply I'm taking all of this death game media that has become popular, whether in movies or shows or anime, uh, Korean series and stuff, and I'm going to be ranking all of the ones that I've seen from least to most favorite. And the idea for this came because I just last night, as of recording this, which would be Tuesday night, I just watched the first episode of Squid Game. For those who don't know, Squid Game is a South Korean death game series that is on Netflix currently. I won't go into anything further than that, but I will say I did enjoy the first episode, especially once it really got started. um, but this kind of concept has been huge in our how would you put it, in our media pretty much ever since Battle Royale. That kind of really kicked off the subgenre of the thriller genre. And so the question is, what constitutes a death game? Because there are some things that some people would put in their list that other people would say, does that really count? Well, here's going to be my clarification for this, because there's no real set definition for what makes a death game series. So this is my personal uh, standards for that. A death game series is a thriller based series or movie or again whatever because it's not just series, it's just any piece of media where a character or multiple characters are put into a scenario in which they have to play a game or some kind of event or competition or whatnot in order to either survive or achieve a goal. The game will more often than not result in either some kind of notable injury, big risk, or straight up death. Um, Much of the time, the latter one, death. And it doesn't matter what the actual game or competition is, there has to be a looming threat that is presented from it, though. And that's basically the gist of it. So anything that kind of fits into that, but I will add a caveat of my own, and I will say that media that is specifically centering around like a fighting tournament or something like that does not count. So nothing like Mortal Kombat, basically. If it centers around like some kind of tournament or event where the literal purpose is fighting or killing, then it doesn't count. It has to be where the event or the competition or the games, whatever you want to call it, however you want to put it, is more of just like some kind of competition in games and stuff. And the death is more of the result rather than the point. So, um, yeah, this will be based off of everything that I have personally seen. It'll mostly just be TV shows and movies, but it can be from like any country. It can be American, it can be Korean, it can be Japanese, yada yada yada. Um, and again, they will be ranked from my least to most favorite, just based on personal tastes and interests. Um, and this will only be based on what I have fully seen so far. So I will tell you right off the bat, Squid Game will not be on this, because I've only seen one episode as of recording this. And even if by the time this video actually comes out, I have seen more, I will not have seen the full thing yet. So just to be completely fair, I will not put Squid Game on there. Um, but Squid Game's sort of the catalyst for me making this list, and it's definitely going to be on this list at some point. It just depends on where, obviously. So I have done some thoughts. I have done some research. I've looked up like all the death game media I could, and I found I think everything that I've seen that could count. Um, Everything that basically fits the bill. Um, so I think that I've got it. So yeah, once again, the only kind of rules I want to emphasize here is that it basically has to fit in the idea of what a death game is to me. I'm not counting anything with a fighting tournament in it. Um, though I will make a kind of an addendum to what I said before. I said like nothing with the straight up purpose of killing. Unless its straight up purpose of killing is still handled in just a straight up like games kind of way, games competition and whatnot. But again, I'm basically just not counting fighting tournaments because it just seems cheap to count fighting tournaments like Mortal Kombat and whatnot. Um, I don't know. For me, it just seems like cheap to count something like that. It doesn't come across as a death game per se. You can usually tell if something's a death game based on the tone and everything it takes on. And a lot of the times, the characters don't know they're entering a death game at first, or they don't really believe it's that kind of thing. So we'll count it for that, basically. I just want to make an addendum for that because I feel like I was a little too restrictive on what I said before. This isn't planned, so keep that in mind. I'm kind of like winging this as I speak. um, but yeah, I felt it was maybe a little too restricted before to basically say just like, oh, if death is the purpose, then you don't count it. It's like, but that counts out a lot of things that are so very obviously death games, where death is the purpose. Um, so yeah, I'm just not going to include anything where it's like a fighting tournament or combat sports or anything like that. Because those they just don't feel like death games to me. It just feels like something else, even if death is a notable part of it. So yeah, that's how I'm going to view that. Um, but we're gonna just move on to this because you know that I'm terrible at talking, I'm terrible at explaining things. So yeah. Um, as a note, this will be done in clip style, like a lot of my countdown lists. So because of that, to be safe, even though I'll probably be using just trailers that are already on YouTube, just to be safe, I'm going to have to redirect it. I don't want to risk anything with the copyright bullshit on this platform. So the list will be down in the description below. It'll be linked to for both BitChute and Google Photos. You can find the list there, and then you can come back here to the redirect and tell me your thoughts. You can like tell me what you thought of my list, if there's anything that you would change or add um, for your own, and so on and so forth. Um, I would love to hear your thoughts on this because, like I said, this genre is booming, especially just since big stuff like Battle Royale. It's just blossomed into its own genre in a way. And there's so many options for more to come. And I hope that they do continue to do this. So yeah. Um, if you want to hear more thoughts on any of these entries on the list, like if you want to hear like my thoughts on the number 4 entry, let's say it's something that you really like and you want to hear my thoughts on. You can ask in the comments. I'm fully willing to give any and all of my thoughts on any of these entries in well, actual detail. So if you want to know anything about my actual like full thoughts on these shows or movies or whatnot, just feel free to ask. I'm fully willing to go into it. It's just for the sake of the actual list video, I'm keeping it to the clips just to make it easier, quicker, and just to be able to keep it more at a reasonable length. Because if I tried to talk about all of these, it would go on forever. Because I ramble. But either way, once again, the link is down in the description below. You can find both BitChute and Google Photos there for this list. And once again, let me know your thoughts in the comments about your own lists and what are some of your favorite death games that don't even appear on my list. Let me know down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I hope you enjoy my list.